When the yellow light comes on, you need to wrap up, and I will ask you to stop if it goes to red. If there are a lot of people wishing to testify, we will use a 3-minute testimony. I don't think that's going to be an issue this morning. If your remarks were reflected in previous testimony, or if you would like your position to be known but do not wish to testify, please sign the white form on the table outside the room by the entrance, and it will be included in the official record. Please speak directly into the microphone so our transcribers are able to hear your testimony clearly. I would like to introduce committee staff. To my immediate right is committee counsel Mary Jane Edgar Edson. To my immediate left is research analyst Kay Berquist. To the left, right there, at the end of the table is committee clerk Grant Latimer. Now I'd like the senators to introduce themselves, starting at my far right.
Thank you, Senator. Rich Falls, District 31, Southwest Omaha.
Kurt Friesen, District 34, Hamilton, Merrick, Dansport, Hall County.
Brett Lindstrom, District 18, Northwest Omaha.
Mike Flood, District 19, Madison and part of Stanton County.
Tom Breezy, District 41.
Joni Albright, District 17, Wayne Thurston, and Dakota counties in Northeast Nebraska. Sorry.
This morning our pages are, stand up, we have Thomas and Turner, both attend UNL, and they are studying political science. Please remember that the senators may come and go during our hearing, as they may have bills to introduce in other committees. Please refrain from applause or other indications of support or opposition. I would like to also remind our committee members to speak directly into the microphones. For our audience, the microphones in the room are not for amplification but for recording purposes only. Lastly, we are an electronics equipped committee. Information is provided electronically as well as in paper form. Therefore, you may see committee members referencing information on their electronic devices. Be assured that your presence here today and your testimony are important to us and critical to our state government. So with that, we'll open on LB115, Senator McCollister. Good morning, Senator McCollister.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am John J-O-H-N McCollister, M-C-C-O-L-L-I-S-T-E-R. Today I'm introducing LB115 to eliminate the exemption from sales tax on purchases of candy and soft drinks. As introduced, LB115 also eliminated the exemption for bottled water that was in the 2020 version of the bill. As a reminder, some small Nebraska communities occasionally have unsafe drinking water. The residents need to use bottled water regularly, so taxing it could create a hardship. LB115 would add candy and soft drinks to the list of products that are excluded from the definition of untaxed food and food ingredients. The effect would be purchases of these products would be taxed at the effective sales tax rate. I call your attention to the definitions of these products that would be taxed. Candy is defined on page 4, lines 8 through 12. Soft drinks are defined on page 5, lines 27 through 30. These definitions are in the streamlined sales and use tax agreement. Nebraska has been a full member of this agreement since 2005. Taxing these products is one way to expand the sales tax base. The handout you received shows that in 2018, the tax foundation at 32 states in the District of Columbia exempt groceries from their sales tax base. A January 2019 Bloomberg tax analysis reported the same data. The tax foundation and Bloomberg tax also noted the definition of groceries varies state by state. Candy and soft drinks are both excluded from the definitions of groceries in 22 states. Nebraska is one of only 11 states that considers soft drinks and candy to be in the category of non-taxed food items. Provisions of LB115 on page 7 should eliminate the general fund impact that were present in the 2020 version of the bill. LB115 includes the operative date of October 1st, 2021 to comply with the statutory requirement that our sales tax rate can only be changed at the start of a calendar quarter. You will hear from the opponents this is a regressive tax that will adversely affect low-income families. This is a valid concern, but if you look at cigarettes, another unhealthy item that is purchased more by low-income people than higher-income people as a percentage, the regressive taxing of this product can lead to health benefits when fewer people use this harmful product. I think the same thing should occur for both pop and candy. In the end, I think the designation for revenue from this tax to go largely toward the healthcare cash fund will offset the regressive effects of a tax like this could have, because the money will most likely end up going toward beneficial programs. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take some questions.
Thank you, Senator McCollister. Are there questions from the committee? Senator Pauls.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question, and this may be, if you've had this bill before or similar to it, you want to give the additional revenue to these particular causes.
No.
Is that, I understand the health thing, but all I've heard since I've been down here is property tax relief.
Yeah, that's correct, Senator. And but the healthcare cash fund has been under pressure in recent years, and a number of programs that we've used the proceeds from the healthcare cash fund have depleted the fund seriously. So this will help rebuild the balance in that fund, in that cash fund.
I don't. Do you have any idea what that?
I can find out what programs come out of the healthcare cash fund. But, I was agreeable last year if the bill could have made it out of committee to repurpose the money in some other way. So if this bill would receive serious consideration from the committee, we could sure talk about where the proceeds go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pauls. Are there other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much. Will you stay to close?
Indeed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any proponents? Proponents for LB115? Okay, are there any opponents? Good morning.
That was quick. Good morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Linehan and members of the Revenue Committee. My name is Ansley Fellers, ANSLEY-FELLERS, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nebraska Grocery Industry Association. I'm here on behalf of the grocers, along with the Nebraska Retail Federation and the Nebraska Petroleum Marketers and Convenience Store Association, testifying in opposition to LB115, which would eliminate the sales tax exemption on purchases of candy and soft drinks. While we appreciate what Senator McCollister is trying to accomplish and want to continue being part of discussions on a more fundamental overhaul of our tax system, carving out specific food items to tax is complicated and burdensome for retailers and consumers. According to the Tax Foundation, excise taxes, in this case on soda and candy, are too narrow and regressive to be practical sources of revenue. And evidence of any direct impact on obesity continues to be limited, so it remains entirely unclear whether such taxes have any positive effect on public health. Carve-outs in the tax code are viewed across the political spectrum as poor tax policy, in part because they are complicated and inconsistent. As you can see by the handout, which will be copied and handed out, Kit Kats are not taxed, Altoids are. A Snickers bar would be taxable for those paying in cash, but it would not be taxable for those paying with SNAP. While there are certainly cities and states which have implemented such changes, the cost of updating a point-of-sale system to account for such confusion is challenging, primarily for small grocery and convenience stores. When Colorado began taxing candy, soft drinks, and water, they discovered 50% of convenience store point-of-sale systems couldn't break out separate categories, and they all required system upgrades. Additionally, the software that can be purchased is imperfect and requires a lot of due diligence by business owners. Well-meaning store managers and clerks have to go through and read every bakery, candy, and soft drink item label. If you misread a label or skip a product and are audited by the Department of Revenue, the department has the ability to collect back taxes. Finally, Nebraska currently prohibits local communities from assessing an occupation tax on food. By eliminating the exemption on candy and soft drinks, we could also be opening up opportunities for local governments to assess an occupation tax on these products. In Nebraska, the confectionery industry represents an $85 million economic output, pays $28 million in wages, employs more than 770 people directly, and supports more than 2,500 jobs indirectly. State legislatures across the country have consistently rejected discriminatory taxes on candy and sweetened beverages, and in some cases, those passed have actually been repealed by lawmakers due to public outcry or rescinded by voters themselves. For these reasons, we ask you oppose LB115, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Sellers, are there questions from the committee? Senator Breezy.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your testimony here today. Iowa does not tax groceries, do they?
Great, correct.
But they do tax pop and candy, right? Okay. And you're saying Colorado does not tax groceries either, but went to taxing candy. When did they do that?
I will have to get back to you. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
Relatively recently.
Not a big deal, but the question that comes to my mind is how they do it. How did they make this work?
They're making it work. As I mentioned in my testimony, it wasn't easy. But yeah, certainly states are making it work. It's not impossible. It's just challenging, especially for smaller stores.
Yeah, it seems like Iowa did it long ago also, didn't they?
Yeah, it's certainly.
Without the benefit
yeah.
of the technology that we have today,
Right.
it seems to me. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Breezy. Are there other questions? Senator Pauls.
Thank you, Chair. The question I have, I know it's going to be complicated, but once the cash registers or all that are set, it's an automatic thing. It's not a daily, because if I go to the grocery store, they automatically know what certain things are not taxed. Somehow it seems to work. So, but this would cost so much to upgrade their machines?
Currently, yes. And I think, as you'll see, and I apologize, I ran out of colored ink, so the clicker, the page is making copies for you, and you'll see there isn't a lot of consistency in what you consider candy and soda and sweetened beverages. So in some of these cases, the equipment upgrades, what we're hearing from stores and what we heard from other states is that it's manual entry. It requires manual entry. It requires clerks and store managers to make sure they're properly taxing certain things. And in that sense, you know, if a Kit Kat is taxed but a Snickers isn't, or Twizzlers aren't taxed because they have enough flour but raspberry sweet tea is, you know, some of those things are a little confusing. And at the end of the day, we just are concerned that it's, again, a complicated and expensive method of taxation but the cost doesn't outweigh the benefit in this case.
Apparently it must have been Iowa if they could do it.
You know, I would be interested, I don't have the data in front of me, I would be interested to know, it happened so long ago, I think, in Iowa, I would be curious to know if the math plays out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pauls. Are there other questions from the committee? They already have to have, I mean, I understand small mom and pop shops, maybe they don't, though I don't know how any they could not now, because to Senator Paul's point, when you go to the grocery store, you buy dog food, you pay taxes, you buy hot chicken, you pay taxes, cold chicken, you don't pay taxes. I mean, there's a lot of, like, they have to do that already. This isn't, and am I right, at a quick shop, you pay sales tax on a fountain drink, but not on a soda that you get in a can?
Yes, we tax prepared food, but not raw groceries.
So they already have to go through these?
Yeah, to some extent, although I would say it's consistent among products, right? Unlike this, which wouldn't, so all fountain soda is taxed, right? It's not that some of it's taxed and some of it isn't.
So you'd be okay if we're taxing it all instead of some of it?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Officially, the position of the grocers in our industry is that we oppose a tax on food. But I will tell you that for consistency's sake, for consumers and for business owners, a tax on food would be less burdensome than the picking and choosing involved in taxing things like this. I would also say that there are conversations among my board of directors and others that we want to be part of the discussion, right? So we understand that there's a desire to broaden the tax base, so we don't want to continue saying no, no, no. And again, it would be less complicated than something like this. A lower rate on food than other things would also be somewhat less regressive and I think easier to swallow for consumers and grocers and convenience stores. But I would also like to state for the record that we still think taxing goods, especially groceries, is far more regressive than taxing something like services.
Thank you. Other questions in the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Other opponents?
Good morning. Good morning, Chairwoman Linehan and members of the Revenue Committee. My name is Brian Gilliland, BRIAN-GILLILAND. I'm a general manager for Chesterman Company. We're the state's largest local distributor of Coca-Cola products. I'm appearing before you today as the president of the Nebraska Beverage Association in opposition to LB115. The Nebraska Beverage Association has represented the non-alcoholic beverage industry and local distributors of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Dr. Pepper products in this state for more than 4 decades. In those 40 years, the beverage industry has contributed substantially to our neighborhoods, communities, and the Nebraska economy by providing good-paying jobs, charitable donations, and a sizable amount of tax dollars. Last year, our industry provided over 1,400 jobs in the state. Our members also contributed over $75 million in state taxes, and we donated over $8 million to charitable causes across the state in 2019. In response to the historic flooding in 2019, our national and local distributors donated bottled water, soft drinks, and direct financial relief. PepsiCo, Lynn Pepco, Chesterman Company, and Keurig Dr. Pepper donated over 13,000 cases of bottled water, and the Coca-Cola Foundation pledged $100,000 to the Red Cross. Our companies made these donations because we believe safe drinking water is a necessity. While our members obviously have a desire to help local communities, we are still businesses with payrolls to meet and other expenses to pay. Imposing a sales tax, yes, these donations would be subject to sales tax, would change the calculus by increasing the cost to make the donation. The Nebraska Beverage Association opposes the imposition of sales tax on soft drinks and the exclusion of our products from the definition of food. Our products are food. We do not believe they should be separated out and taxed differently than any other grocery. Our products also vary widely in their ingredients, from juices, coffee, soft drinks, and dairy. The categorization of what would be taxed and what wouldn't be taxed gets very complex. We don't believe that the state should further complicate the process of buying groceries for Nebraska families or increase their grocery bills, especially while many families are still struggling to keep food on the table during this pandemic. We know that sales tax on soft drinks are regressive. This type of flat tax places a large burden on consumers who are lower income earners. LB115 would be taking more money out of those families' pockets. This is not the time to be picking winners and losers of what gets taxed when it comes to at the expense of increasing a family's grocery bills. We find no rationale for imposing the sales tax other than it's not being taxed right now. In the past, it's been proposed as a health initiative. Arguments that our products are not healthy have been refuted in research over the years. In fact, over 55% of our products offerings are 0 or no calories. Tastes have changed over the years, and our industry is meeting the increasing demands for healthier products. We object to the imposition of tax on our products, which in turn increases bills for Nebraska families, all for the purpose of increasing state spending. For these reasons, the Nebraska Beverage Association is opposed to LB 115.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Are
you.
there questions from the committee? Senator Breezy.
Thank you, Chairman Lynn. Thank you for your testimony here today. I'm assuming your opinion is that this would be detrimental to your industry, correct?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I even heard that said, and surely you have ran the numbers then. To what extent would imposition of sales tax on these products impact the beverage industry, beverage sales?
I can't give you hard numbers on that. I can tell you that our industry, as much as in any industry there is incredibly competitive and very price sensitive. So when we get to price points at $1.99 or $3.99 or $5.99, anything that takes us over that price point impacts sales. So I don't think there's any question that adding a 7% tax would either cause us to reduce margins, which would negatively impact our business, or reduce sales.
You know, you talk about elasticity of demand. I guess I'd like to have somebody tell me what this would do to sales, if anything.
Yeah, I can't tell you right now that we have good information on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Breezy. Are there other questions from the committee? Senator Paul.
Thank you, Chair. What amazes me, I know you say the cost is significant, But I'm amazed, I go to the grocery store and I can buy 4 cases or 12 packs at an unbelievable rate on sale days. I mean, they do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So to me, you have to be losing something on that.
So on cans, that's, a lot of grocery stores will use cans along with other items, bread or milk, as loss leaders. So they put that in their ad to draw consumers in. Our products are included in that group of items. So we reduce our margins when those ads come out, and the grocers in turn reduce their margins. So again, it's a loss leader to pull in consumers.
I understand that concept, but I tell you, I think I could go almost every other week, and they have those loss leaders on, especially on pop, whether it be your product or another product.
Correct.
So that's just the cost of doing business, is what you're saying.
It is. It is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pauls. Are there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Are there other opponents? Are there any other opponents? Is there anyone wanting to testify in the neutral position? Senator McCollister, would you like to close? Thank you.
What makes for good tax policy when it comes to sales tax? And I would contend that a low, broad sales tax is the best policy. That's confirmed by both the Platt Institute and Open Sky. And any other think tank that you can think of recommends a low, broad tax. South Dakota, for example, absolutely taxes everything. We don't here. Nebraska has a narrow tax. And as I served on this committee last year, we went through all the products and services that could be taxed in an effort to bring in some additional revenue. Nebraska has a narrow sales tax, a high income tax, and Lord knows a high property tax. So, sales tax is about the only place that we can go. In fact, Senator Pauls, in his first 2 terms in this body, proposed getting rid of all the exemptions that we had. You should ask him about that in exec session. We employed a pretty good process last year when we went through all the items of goods and services that we could tax. And if you're an outlier, as Nebraska is on this particular product, sales and pop and candy, only 11 other states in the country give an exemption to pop and candy. So it's not an imposition for these retailers to, reduce or eliminate the exemption for these products. Not at all. They do it in Iowa, and for sure they can do it in Nebraska. Nebraska is an outlier when it comes to these 2 particular products, and it's time we change it. Where the money goes, I think the basis on the bill is the healthcare cash fund, because you could contend that these products are unhealthy, and the healthcare cash fund would be a logical place to put that money. But, we can talk about where that money should go. $33 million, and that's a lot of money. So with that, I'll conclude.
Thank you, Senator McCollister. Other questions from the committee? So yours doesn't this doesn't tax bottled water?
Correct.
Okay. Does this fiscal note seem larger than it was last year to you?
Say again?
Does the fiscal note seem like it's more revenue than it was? I thought it was $20 million when we included water. But
I think it
my
was
memory-
30 million, but.
30 million, okay.
And I think it's 33 million this year, so.
Okay. All right,
Your legal counsel saying yes.
okay. But that included water, right? So that seems a little odd. Okay, all right. No other questions? Thank you very much, Senator
be right
McCollister.
back.
We did have one opponent testimony delivered this morning from Bud Seinhorst for LEBA. And then we had LB115, we had 5 proponents who submitted letters for the record, 6 opponents, and no one in the neutral position. So now we go to